Hello, this is Tim again, and filming on the hill, another hill. I'm sorry about last Sunday's film, it was so shaky, but then that's because I'm shaky. I'm doing it a bit better this week because I've got my camera fixed. So this is the hill on which Furzey Gallery and Cottage is built. There is so much that we can learn from creation at difficult times, and especially from these beautiful gardens at Furzey. We go through the seasons of the year. Winter, we see things dying away and disappearing, and that gives way to spring. And sometimes the harder the winter, the brighter and better the spring is, the fresher it is. Some of the insects have gone that would otherwise be troubling us. Now I'm going to tell you the story of how this gallery burnt down. We came here in 1972 when the gardens, which had been set out by the Dalrymples in the 1920s, had run down because the Dalrymples had died and the gardens ran down and became overgrown, very largely overgrown. And so they were put up for sale in 3 lots. The cottage which you see on the left was due for demolition, and in its place there was going to be a country house built. And then the other lots, out of the 3 lots, one had the Furzey house on it and the other was up for planning permission. We were able to buy all the 3 lots at auction and put the gardens back together again and set about restoring them. So out of the loss of the Dalrymples and their wonderful vision for setting it out and the decline of the gardens came a completely new venture. So we then obtained planning permission to keep the cottage, get rid of the country house that was going to be built here, and build the gallery, which you can now see. So we set about that in the early 1970s. There were just 5 people here working on the gardens, 2 gardeners and 3 school leavers from Oak Lodge Special School with learning disabilities. One of those, Paul Turner, has only recently retired after 40 years and is still around here occasionally, I'm glad to say. So we built this rather lovely gallery. It didn't have the terrace on it then. Well, about the same time as Minstead Lodge started to slide down the hill, we had a disaster here. The gardens were getting back on their feet. People were starting to come and visit. It was running as a non-profit enterprise, sharing with the local community. And then one day, the thatch at the far end on the right here caught fire on the main building. There was a wood-burning stove in there, and there's a fault in the flue. Now, when a thatch fire starts, it doesn't look very much at first, but they're very hard to deal with and put out. So very soon the fire started spreading through the inside of the thatch. There were a lot of visitors here in the gardens at the time, and they made a human chain out into the gardens and started carrying all the stuff out of the gallery, the tables, the display units, all the things that we had in there, local crafts for sale. They were all gradually carried out as the building began to burn, and they were put out on the grass here. The fire engines arrived, they were pumping water up from the lake, but the fire continued. Nothing, it seems, could put it out. Apart from its concrete block stud walls, you see it's a timber building as well as thatch, and the column of smoke and flame could be seen from 20 miles away. It was a complete disaster for us, and we were left at the end of the day with just the smouldering stud walls full of wet, smelly, blackened, sooty bits of thatch and wood. Miracle was that the cottage to the left did not catch fire. So there we are. We were right back at the beginning again, it felt. Uh, what we did next, though, was that we built a temporary shed, and over the next couple of years we rebuilt the gallery and we made some improvements to it. And so out of that kind of death came something new. It was regenerated in a way it would not have been regenerated before. And then we came to put the terrace on the front and things like that. So what looked like being a disaster uh, came to good, for good. We face something a bit similar, don't we? The gardens here are closed. There's just the sound of the birds, and you can hear them perhaps in the background. And we don't know what we're going to do exactly, but a plan is being formulated, and people are being asked, our friends, just as they gathered round and helped us carry all the stuff out of the gallery and saved it. So we're confident that people will gather round again and help us to get the gardens reopened in a new way. New things, new opportunities will come out of it. And so we learn from the seasons. We're going through a little winter, as it were, but the spring and the summer that's coming out of it, we hope will be better than ever. And we will look back on this as just another stage in the development of this beautiful place.